Hi there, I am Tarcisio from Rhythmics Latin Dance Academy, improve lives through Latin dance culture and community. I want to join us for 3 steps for a great frame in social dance. Now I'm going to ask my partner, my wife Jada, to join me.
Hi everyone, how are you doing today?
And we are going to go through those steps one by one. First of all, we are going to start about the frame itself, how we should posture ourselves. Now I have here a broomstick. My students say that I just love, that is a very good tool. Now one thing very important that for us to have as a base, because the leader and the follower have pretty much the same posture, they're the same frame. And if I rest it here, thank you, if I rest it here and rest it here and bring the broomstick to my chest and open like that, that's how we lead and that's how we follow. Then if we are together here, it's pretty much I bring my hand in the shoulder blade and you bring your hand in the shoulder blade, but that's how we are. Yeah? And this is a very good exercise to be able to maintain that. Now, the bit of the distance, that will be a little bit like that, but what is essential is to keep that parallel. Leading, following.
This is a great exercise for posture, and it's a great way to practice your steps and practice your frame at home as well as homework. So we're just looking at getting that frame ourselves before even dancing with the partner.
Now let's talk about that. It looks very, very, very simple. It is simple, but sometimes it's not that easy because no one walks with their arms like that. Then I recommend one homework that is extremely tiring but really important. Is put one song and be the entire song. You can walk, we can do whatever you want, but make sure that the broomstick is here and touch those areas and your forearm is open like that. Now you are going to realize that after a while it gets really, really heavy. Not the broomstick, it's the fact of being holding the arm like that. Now what I tell my students when we're doing exercise like that, when you were dancing, and I make everyone be in this posture, and what I tell them, when your arms start to do like that, when you feel that's too hard, now someone in the dance floor is paying the price. It means your partner. As a leader or as a follower, if your hand starts to do that, what's going to happen? The leader is holding your weight of your arm. It's quite common you see people dancing with this type of frame collapsed like that. Yeah, it's quite common you see this type of thing. This is because the frame has you need to be fit enough to hold it.
So this is your exercise before we even jump into a frame with our partner so that you get that fitness and that strength to be able to hold your dance frame. Let's take a look at step 1 of our frame with the partner. How do we hold our partner? What do we do with our arms? So we just had a bit of a look at a floppy frame, but let's do a bit of a dive into the details of how we hold our partner generally when we're dancing socially.
Then if you think about that, I call that the invitation position. It's like, it's a warm, it's an invitation, it's a giving, yeah? Instead of this type of confronting. Then from here, then my right hand goes on my partner's shoulder blade, and her hand goes on my shoulder blade, and this hand here,
So Tarcisio is in the leading position here with his right arm around on the follower's back, and the followers are going to have their left hand on the leader's right shoulder. If I've got that right. Yes, that's correct.
Then the logical thing, I would say there is very good logical things about dancing. If you practice, it will work. My hand, imagine that if I have a mirror on my hand here, my partner should be able to see herself in that mirror.
Oh, nice.
And then when you put your hand there, it means that if you see the logical, the mechanic of the thing, if I do any movement here, I will apply a force here. If my hand has this position, when I do a turning movement, I'm applying a force here. That is not the best way for my partner's shoulder. Then the hand has slightly turned towards my partner's face. Then that's the frame that we dance. No.
So it's important with these hands out to the side. So from what you've seen with the broomsticks and holding that there, it's really important we hold our own frame up. We're not leaning on our partner. And the height of these hands is a question we get often. It should be kind of somewhere in between your shoulder height. So I've got some nice heels on at the moment, so it's lifted me up. We've got kind of similar shoulder heights now. So our hands can be around about shoulder height. If you've got a really big difference either way, what you're looking for is somewhere kind of in between the heights of yourself and your partner, so that it's nice and comfortable for both of you. Similarly with the follower's left hand, when it's on the leader's back and shoulder here, if I was a lot shorter than my partner, I could always have it here so that it's comfortable. Okay, so it should be quite comfortable with your shoulder, so you're not too stretched around here, and also you're not floppy down here, so it's nice and comfortable in this open, inviting kind of frame.
This works like a ball joint. Yeah, that's what I said.
Ball joint?
Yeah, that when we move, if you open our frame here, this will slide there. And we are not going to build elbows like that. If you go further away, it will slide here. Yeah, then it works like
so we're maintaining our frame all the time, which is going to bring us to the next point. Now, I want to remind you, if you've got questions, please do pop them into the comments. We love questions. So this is your frame, this is the position of the arms, the kind of idea of holding your own frame and getting comfortable with your partner. So as we're starting to move, that leads us into step number 2 for a great social dance frame, which is maintaining the distance.
I would say leading and following, this is not a domineering thing. It's a partnership. It's doing something together. It's working together. But we have different jobs. Now, the job of the leader is to be as clear as possible in every movement that we do. Then we will talk about, like when we are here, and something that we had approached in some other blogs and Facebook Live about the physicality. You'll be able to move your body. See, well, what we're doing here, I'm moving my body, I'm not moving my arm. Now, sometimes the interpretation of that is this type of movement. Now, that gives a very wrong information to my partner. And what's happening is this hand here has a very important information. We are going to approach that in another Facebook Live that we're going to talk much more about leading and following. But the frame, the lead and follow is extremely related. Yeah? Then it's very important that if I do that, I'm giving wrong information. This one says stay still. This one says half of you go move up and down. Then this is very important that we acquire, do some work. It means it's a complex thing, lead and follow in frame, they're all related. We're trying to talk only about the frame at this moment. My job is to give a very clear information to the follower, keeping my frame, and job of the follower is to keep that distance.
So generally what we talk about is the followers actually setting up the distance with their partner. So we have a lot of questions with people before they start dancing or kind of after they've just got started, telling us that they were a little bit apprehensive about dancing really close with people that they don't know. So we thought that this is really helpful for people if you're just getting started, but even before you've started dancing, this is something you could practice and have a look at on your own as well as with a partner, and also take that kind of unknown out of it a little bit. So we can dance far apart, we can dance kind of a little bit closer, whatever's actually comfortable, we can dance really close, depending on how comfortable you are. The thing though is, once you set up that distance, we're going to work to maintain that the whole time, and that's a big part of the follower's job, is to actually maintain that distance. And we like to say that it's also the follower's job to set up and create a comfortable distance, so that the leaders aren't just deciding that distance. So if we're here and we think, okay, great, we've got our frame, we know our arm position, this is a comfortable distance for us now, this is the distance we're going to maintain throughout the whole dance, so that when the leaders move, then the followers, you're working to maintain that distance. So if the leader comes forward, I'm going to maintain the distance by moving backwards. If the leader moves backwards, I'm going to maintain the distance by moving forward. So my focus is always maintaining that distance and maintaining that matching frame with our partner.
Step number 3 is the pressure. That's a strange word, I couldn't find another word than pressure, but it is touch. I always say that should be something comfortable. When you walk with someone holding hands, you don't squeeze their hand. Also, don't go like that and feel that you don't want to hold anyone's hand. But that touch, that is comfortable, and that's the first principle of leading and following. Is this comfortable here, and to be able to communicate with your partner through that?
It's kind of the energy that you're exchanging. So you're wanting to match that energy, match the touch, match the pressure, depending on how you want to think about it or what works for you from your partner.
I recommend you hold someone's hand, walk with someone comfortably and feel, okay, that feels good, it's comfortable. Now, when we are dancing, we have lots of these contact points. First of all, that should be the same. My partner should not put weight on my hand, I should not put weight on her hand. Then it's the same. We touch here and nice and comfortable the way that we were here. The same thing, the same feeling is my hand at her back and her hand on my shoulder, plus this nice touch here. Then we have like this contact point, this contact point, this contact point, this contact point.
So it's 4 main contact points. And when we're not moving at all, that pressure or energy or touch is very, very light. It needs to be there so that you're exchanging energy. You can feel if the other person's going to move, but it's very, very light. The bigger the movement's going to be, the faster the movement's going to be, the more energy, pressure or touch that the leaders are going to give into that frame, and then the followers are going to respond with to match it.
Yeah. It's very hard to say the word pressure, and also when we say light or heavy, because interpretation of light or heavy, then you remember, always keep this idea of nice, comfortable holding hands, or nice and comfortable shaking hands, not a squeezing one or not a floppy one.
Or even a nice hug as well. So you can imagine you're hugging a friend. Like if somebody's really, really upset or you haven't seen them for a long time, probably that's a little bit too much pressure. But if you're just saying hi to someone, it's a nice pressure. It's not also they're like, ooh, I don't really want to hug you. So it needs to be that nice, comfortable energy exchange with your partner.
Yeah. Then through all those contact points, that's how we are going to manage, we are going to communicate. Now when we move, that this should never increase, and this should never increase, unless I'm going for a dramatic movement and etc. But talk about social dance and you relax, it's just my job is to make clear when I move. We had approached that in another Facebook Live, you can check it out, or some of our blogs, that how my body starts the movement and the follower feels that, and the touch at her back, even if I don't have this contact point, even if we don't have this contact point, that touch here on her back, when I move, she wants to keep that touch there. She will move to keep that touch. It means her job is to keep her back on my hand. I'm not going to be holding her here, she has to feel that. If you don't have this contact, you have only this, the frame, now this conscious about the movement. It's not be tense, but be conscious. Then when I move via this frame, she will feel without the other contact point.
So we're both really responsible for maintaining our frame. If the leader starts to move and the follower breaks her frame, then he will just move into her. Exactly. So we need to maintain that frame. So the follower's job is so busy. We're so concentrated. There's a lot going on. When we're being really aware, we can use visual cues and that feeling through our body. So let's quickly recap all of those steps to a great social dance frame. We hope you've been following along. If you weren't able to give it a try now with us, you can always come back to it later. So these are some great tips for you. Hopefully, if you haven't started dancing and that was a bit of a worry of yours about getting too close with a partner or not knowing how to hold a partner, this has hopefully showed you a whole lot of tips and steps to get you started. If you're already dancing, then these are some great tips to remember. And right at the beginning, Tarcisio gave you some homework with the broomstick so that you can practice having that strength and that fitness to hold your own frame so you're not leaning on your partner. And you can practice all of your steps in that way at home.
If you have questions, because sometimes there's so many different approaches to everything. Yeah, I have been thinking about that 40 years and teaching and observing that. Then what's happened is, if you have heard something that you think that is controversy, write to us. And again, you can look some of other of our Facebook lives and blogs. There are some other things that complement that, and still may come up with some questions. Please, we're very happy to be in touch with you.
Absolutely. So obviously the frame leads into actually leading and following, which is a whole huge subject in itself, and we'll look at doing that as a Facebook Live or blog coming up very soon. Or of course you can join us at our classes. We hope that this has been super helpful to you, and we look forward to seeing you on our dance floor very soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.